Good Monday afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. New today, 1,500 people are out of a home after a fire at the Skyline Apartments in downtown St. Paul. According to the city, the fire early Sunday morning on the 12th floor of the complex damaged the building's electrical system. That outage made it impossible to get safe drinking water into the building and disabled the fire suppression system, fire alarms, and all elevators. St. Paul city leaders say Common Bond Housing is stepping up to help all the people who are displaced. It's not clear when people will be able to get back into the building. Well, today, Governor Walz announcing $4 million in emergency one-time funding for Minnesota food shelves.
We're here today to announce we're using our contingency accounts to add $4 million to the food banks across Minnesota. This will be a bridge. I want to be very clear. It will not make up and backfill everything that is going to drop off starting on Saturday. We do not have that capacity.
This comes as the government shutdown is nearing its fourth week, and key benefits are about to run out, including SNAP. That program is set to stop Saturday if the shutdown continues. It is putting a lot of pressure on local food pantries trying to support the federal workers who just missed another paycheck and are struggling to make ends meet. Ken Erdahl tells us more.
Hi there. Do you have an appointment today?
Each Friday, a line of cars forms outside of the Twin Cities' largest food pantry, known as Veep.
Hi, do you have an appointment?
With drivers picking up groceries by appointment. But this Friday, there's an uptick in traffic, and it's just a taste of what's yet to come.
Here at Veep, we're kind of planning for about a 25% increase over the next month or so.
CEO Carrie Thompson says their team of volunteer shoppers are just beginning to see and fill a surge in orders coming in for the next week from some of the state's 18,000 furloughed federal workers.
This first couple of weeks, they may have some savings or some things they can fall back on, but as they go forward, they're concerned about what they're going to have to be able to put food on the table, to be able to pay rent, to be able to pay their mortgage.
Issues such as, how am I going to pay for childcare?
Some of those federal workers who represent their local unions shared their growing concerns with Carrie and others this week.
It's pretty bleak right now.
Explaining that while some who are out of work can apply for unemployment benefits, TSA agents and others deemed essential have to work but can't apply.
It's not even a challenge, it's just almost an insurmountable issue.
The longer the shutdown goes on, the harder it's going to get and the worse it's going to be.
The discussion did prompt a new effort to bring more mobile meal assistance.
We can pretty quickly mobilize some boxes of food, get it out to a community
Directly to those impacted. But it comes at a time when these resources are stretched thinner than ever.
We're seeing at Veep about a 50% reduction in the food that we're receiving through the free emergency food program, while our food expenses are significantly higher than they have been in past years.
Carrie says public donations are also down by about 30%, meaning even their own shelves are vulnerable if the shutdown continues.
We're all at the highest level right now that we've ever been in the history of at least our 50 years here at Veep, and so it's a significant concern for all of us. How are we going to continue to help people at this level?
In the meantime, the U.S. Senate is convening again this afternoon after failing to pass a short-term spending bill last week. The House remains out of session until next Sunday. New this afternoon, major testimony in the trial for the convicted mastermind behind the murder of Minneapolis realtor Monique Bowe. Today, the girlfriend of suspect Lyndon Wiggins is on the stand. Elsa Segura is serving 20 years in prison for her role in Bowe's murder. Segura is Lyndon Wiggins' girlfriend and a former parole agent. At her plea hearing, she admitted to using a burner phone to call Bowe, a Twin Cities real estate agent. Segura then acted like a potential homebuyer at Wiggins' request to lure Bowe to the home where she would be kidnapped. It was at that plea hearing when the judge told her she could have been the one to warn Bowe not to go to the showing. But as we know, that's not what happened. That same judge signed the order for Segura to testify. We are a week out from Election Day, and happening right now, 4 of the candidates vying to be the next Minneapolis mayor are taking the stage in a live stream debate, that one happening at 3:30. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, State Senator Omar Fateh, Reverend Dwayne Davis, and Jazz Hampton will be in attendance. The debate is set to be broadcast on the Star Tribune and NPR websites. So far, the candidates have faced off in 3 different debates over the last 2 months. Happening today, Minneapolis teachers deciding whether or not they are heading to the picket line. Union leaders will tally up the strike votes this evening. If the union votes to authorize the strike, it has to give the district 10 days notice. Meanwhile, another mediation session is scheduled for this Thursday. In just over a week, hundreds of Allina Health Clinic workers will head to the picket line. On Friday, members of the Doctors Council gave their 10-day strike notice. The union says Allina refuses to bargain over safe staffing levels and proposed wage cuts. In response, Allina Health says it is, quote, disappointed that workers have decided to strike instead of negotiate. Today, we are learning new details about a car crash in Chisago City that happened over the weekend. 2 teens were killed, 3 others were injured. It happened early Saturday morning near Stacy and Ivywood Trail. A 17-year-old and 15-year-old died in that crash. Over the weekend, Chisago community came together to pay tribute to both victims, creating memorials for them.
You know, part of me still can't believe it's real. Everyone loved him. I mean, all these people loved him more and more, the whole town. Everyone loved him.
If you look at the crash, everybody could have died. It's a miracle that anybody survived.
3 victims are currently in the hospital with serious injuries. The crash is still under investigation. The Lakes Area Police Department, though, says alcohol was found at the scene and may have been a factor in that crash. Happening right now, a Minneapolis delivery driver appearing in court for the first time after allegedly stealing $16,000 worth of items from Target customers. According to charging documents, it happened when he worked at a distribution facility in northeast Minneapolis. Documents allege he delivered the packages to the destination, took a picture to make it look like it got delivered, and then left with the packages. Today, President Trump is in Japan for the next stop on his 3-country tour of Asia. It all, of course, leads up to a meeting with China's president that could break a stalemate in a critical trade deal. NBC's Peter Alexander has the latest from Japan.
Good day to you from here in Japan, the second stop on the president's Asia tour, his first visit to this region since returning to office. Among those greeting him upon his arrival here, Japan's emperor. And tomorrow the president's going to meet with the country's first female prime minister. Her name is Sanae Takaichi. She is a former TV host, also a staunch conservative who notably was close to the president's longtime ally, Shinzo Abe. But hovering over this trip are the escalating tensions between the U.S. and China that have really destabilized the global economy. After months of tough talk toward China, President Trump and his team are now expressing new confidence that a trade deal could be reached when the president sits down with President Xi in South Korea. That will take place this Thursday. The Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells NBC News that the 100% tariff increase the president had threatened on Chinese goods is now off the table. President Trump separately added that he could sign a final deal with China on TikTok during that Thursday meeting with Xi. And as discussions with America's adversary China are warming up, it appears trade talks with Canada, one of the U.S.'s closest allies, appear to have blown up. The president warning that he will slap another 10% tariff on Canadian goods in retaliation for an anti-tariff ad run by Ontario's government, featuring clips from a 1987 radio address that was delivered by President Ronald Reagan, edited to criticize Trump's trade policy. Traveling with the president in Tokyo, Peter Alexander, NBC News.
Today, finally, a breakthrough in the Louvre jewelry heist. Right now, French police say 2 suspects are in custody and 2 others are still on the run. According to a Paris prosecutor, one of the men was arrested yesterday at the airport as he was trying to leave the country. Authorities say both suspects have a history of robbing jewelry stores. They were tracked down using DNA evidence that was found at the scene. At this time, however, authorities have not said if any of the $102 million worth of jewels have been recovered. Today, Hurricane Melissa strengthening to the highest Category 5 status. It is forecasted to reach Jamaica Tuesday morning, bringing life-threatening weather conditions with flash floods and landslides. Melissa is expected to be the strongest storm to ever hit Jamaica. NBC's George Solis has more.
Hurricane Melissa growing to a Category 5 this morning.
How are you feeling?
Well, right now, worried.
The deadly storm churning through the Caribbean and preparing to pummel Jamaica through the coming days. Residents filling up gas canisters to power generators and boarding up windows as the monster storm approaches. Even zoo workers in Jamaica's capital city are busy relocating animals. At least 3 storm-related deaths have been confirmed in Haiti, along with 1 fatality in the Dominican Republic, where dozens of people are currently in shelters, including this mother and her 4-month-old infant, after first responders rescued them from a flooded home. I spoke with one woman in Kingston who says she suffers from lupus and is traveling by bus to her daughter's home.
Even though I have my medication here, I'm still not taking any chance.
Many American tourists are trying to cut their vacation short. Some passengers arriving in the U.S. on one of the last flights out.
There was a lot of turbulence. It was almost like getting out and watching the rain come behind us. But luckily we made it.
Others stranded, including Nicole Doyon, who is visiting from Miami on a yoga retreat. But she says after exhausting every option to get home, she's stuck and will have to ride out the hurricane.
There was nothing available. At this point, there are no options.
Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.